we can see more than 10, but maybe 20, I don't know how many, corpses lying down on the ground, 2 or 3 meters apart. And that bullet went in from here and come out from here, so this part is blowing away. And those corpses was wearing this prison uniform. In 1995, that was a summer day. Who is going to do what surgery was managed by our chief surgeon. And I had 2 chief surgeons. So on that Tuesday afternoon, and one of them, they called me into his office and said, I know you are free tomorrow, because I was the only one who didn't have scheduled surgery. And he said, and ask for 2 nurses, and ask for, go to that anesthesia department and ask for assistant. And waiting for me next morning, 9:30 at the hospital gate. Then next 9:30, they appeared in a car and shouting at us, said, follow us. And we said, yes, follow you. So we jumped in the van, we started following them. I asked this driver, where are we going? Because I have never been to that part of the world. And he said, this is the way, go to the Western Mountain execution ground. Oh my God, I was so scared. It's really freaked out. What are we doing in the execution grounds? By that time, the tension between this minority and Han Chinese and its government can be seen in the society. So somehow I thought, are they going to shoot me because I'm a minority? By the time we arrived, there's a hill. Western Mountain District, as the name suggests, it is inside the mountains. Everywhere is mountains, hills. Our 2 chief surgeons was waiting for us, and we arrived. And they said, you wait here and come around when you hear gunshots. And I said, okay, at least they are not going to shoot me because I'm going to wait here. Well, since we are all young, inexperienced in such situation, especially those 2 nurses, they're scared. They said, what's going to happen? Why we're here? Then we started hearing that noise from behind the hill. Truck noise, engine noise, people's noise, and somebody is shouting, and the people chanting, and the whistle is blowing. Then we heard gunshots. The gunshot is not like machine gun shooting. It's like many rifles shoot at the same time. So we went in. On the left side, at the slope of the mountains, we can see more than 10, but maybe 20, I don't know how many, corpses lying down on the ground, 2 or 3 meters apart. Everyone was shaved like me, and that bullet went in from here and come out from here, so this part is blowing away. And those corpses was wearing this prison uniform. You know, in China, all medical students during schooling at university, they have seen a lot of corpses. Not like the West, they don't use real corpse. We seen lot of dead bodies and dismantled body parts. So we are not scared when we see that. Then there was a police officer shouting at us, said, "Go to the far right. The last one is yours." Then our two chief surgeons was standing there. And there was a body lying down there with civilian's uniform, with long hair. It was a man. And the chief surgeon called me and said, "You come here." And then told others to put this body into the one. And he told me, "No, this is what you are going to do. Do as quick as possible, remove liver and kidney." I actually felt so much relieved. And that is, if that is the things they ask me to do, that is nothing. I can do it straight away, no problem. And my old fear, panic has gone because I thought they're going to shoot me. From that moment, my body actually turned into like robots, like trained or programmed the robot to carry out that following the program. So by the time I got into the one, they have prepared the body already. So I took the scalp, and then my chief surgeon standing next to me on my left. On my right is one of my nurse and the two assistants standing opposite me. So I started cutting straight away. When my scalp cut his, just from here, and the body tried to, struggling doing this, but he was shot to the right chest. And he was too weak to resist my insertion. My chief surgeon said, "Quick, be quick, hurry up." So I started cutting it. Then I saw blood. It was bleeding. And I said, "This man is alive," because the heart was still pumping the blood. Anyway, since I was told what to do, my only choice is to follow the order. I took liver out, both kidney out, and the chief surgeon put them in a box and said, "Now you take your team back to the hospital. Remember, today, nothing happened today, right? I lived in a Chinese communist society, and I know what does that mean. That means if you say anything, you are in trouble, and that is big trouble. So from that day on, none of us has ever talked about it."
Was organ harvesting legal in China?
Yes. It's not only legal, it is encouraged. As Chinese government says that just come from voluntarily donation. That's a lie. And the Chinese government also says it's come from executed prisoner. Well, Chinese government, they published that number of execution. It's around 10,000. But the transplantation organs, it is much higher than UK, for example. Registered donor is 24 million. Against the UK population is 1/3 or 1/4. Based on such large size of donation, people size, in UK you need to wait for 2 years for one pair of lungs. In China, they can get pair of lungs in 15 days. It was kick-started by my chief surgeon's joke. He was saying and telling me that, say, look at our department. We only have 40 beds, and 10 of them occupied by you people. It means minorities, and the rest 30 occupied by the Han Chinese. Among those 160,000, there are only 5,000 they were minorities. So now try to calculate. 5,000 they got occupied 10 beds, and 155,000 occupied 30 beds. So that tells you just in the among minority, there are too many cancer patients. Among so large population size Han Chinese, they only need a few beds. So I spent 2 years, and I looked through around 2,000 cases. Then I got a result is that the cancers on the top of the list was leukemia and lung cancer and thyroid cancer and malignant lymphoma. Then I went back to the medical textbook and tried to see what is in common. And I found that those 4 types of cancer, if it is raising in a certain place, then you should immediately looking for radiation. And we all know that our great country is testing atom bomb against American imperialists. So we all know that. So they are testing atom bomb in Xinjiang. So that's how I made a connection to the cancer patient with radiation. There are 3 large size that uranium mine also located in Xinjiang. One of them was also contributed to former Soviet Union's nuclear test program in 1940. And that uranium also is in Xinjiang. So from that, I understood that people in Xinjiang has been victim of nuclear test. And they don't hide and they are doing a nuclear test, because every single nuclear test, you will see they reported on the newspaper, said, our great country, we have successfully conducted another nuclear test. There's a documentary film made by the Chinese government. In that film, they shows you that the nuclear test doesn't harm the animals, the crops. And I say, if it doesn't harm the animals, why do you test it? It means you don't harm the human being. So why do you need it? You test the nuclear bomb is to kill.
What did you feel like when you realized the scale of the cancer problem in Xinjiang?
Feeling just hopeless. I don't have feeling this. I don't have strength. Don't have power to help those people. in Xinjiang, and one session of chemotherapy, it costs around $1,000, which is 8,000 yuan in Chinese currency. The problem with those people in Xinjiang, peasants, farmers, the yearly income is barely 10,000 yuan. They just can't afford that. When they have been diagnosed with that cancer, they just go home because they can't afford it.
So what did you decide to do about all of that?
I told you already that I have investigated 2,000 cases, and I got result that the cancer patient was a result after the nuclear test, radiation. Then in 1996, there was a promotion test examination. I failed in a foreign language. So by that time, I'm already fed up with working with just Chinese colleagues, with this system, with this society, because there are so many things happen. So I asked permission. I said, can I have sabbatical leave? And I'm going to study one foreign language and come back to take this examination again. So I got 1 year leave. So I straight come to Turkey. And what happened is that we have a national center in Istanbul. They are helping these Uyghurs, just refugees, just diasporas. They contacted me and they said, there are two journalists from London. They want to know the health situation in Xinjiang. Would you like to be interviewed? I said, yes, why not? They contacted back to London, and they decided to make a film. So they asked me, if we want to make a film, would you like to be our guide? I said, sure, yes, because I had that idea. I wanted to tell this world about that. So 5 of us, we went back to Xinjiang. We spent 6 weeks. We filmed just victims and children. Because the radiation, when this atom bomb exploded and when you were pregnant, the child was likely to be born with deformity. But if you was born already, then you are likely to develop a cancer. And we chopped down a tree in the mountain, and we sent that piece of tree wood through British Embassy to London, and then to examining it. And we were waiting for the result because we had done everything. Then the result came and said, yes, you got the hard evidence. Then we left. The hard evidence is inside that tree. The radiation dosage is 300 times higher than the tree in Hiroshima.
Were you scared to expose all of that?
Yes. I don't scare the darkness. I can go out at midnight alone everywhere. But now, I'm scared in the darkness alone. And I think that experience, that half year, has caused this problem.
Once you came here, what was your life like in the UK?
At the beginning, I thought, well, I will be welcomed as a hero because what happened to me, what I have done. Then at the Heathrow airport, I claimed asylum, and then they sent me to North London. Despite my hard evidence, it took 2 years for Home Office to grant my application. And during that 2 years, life was being really hard to survive. So I applied as bus driver, and I drove bus for 7 years because they don't ask for your CV. And people asking, do you think all this you are suffering is deserved, or you don't regret? And they said, well, this is the price you pay if you're standing up such gigantic country. Yes, I guess this is what I have to cope with.
Do you miss China?
I miss China. China is a great country. However, this country just having its very terrible, bad time now, controlled by the Chinese Communist Party. It is a beautiful country. I started this campaigning against organ harvesting in 2009. Now it's more than 10 years. The hard part I see is the people, they refuse to believe it.
Did you realize the consequences of what you were doing? Did you realize that you will never be able to go back to China?
I knew that when that aircraft was taken off from Urumqi airport, I was crying. Looking at this ground, I said, okay, bye-bye. That's it.
But in my opinion, it is a real North Korea then. And they asked us to go down in a basement in one of these old houses which were about to collapse. I was like waiting for the sound of a gun having, loading it, and then, well, lights out.